I'm influenced by everyday people. I used to kind of look towards kind of big famous names for inspiration and stuff like that. And of course, people like Mandela and Angela Davis and people that have done great things in the world will influence people of all kinds. But really what gets me is normal, everyday people that have struggled to survive or struggled against the system. Poetry is everywhere. And at some point in your life, you will turn to poetry, even if you don't realise it. And the obvious times, of course, are when people die or sometimes when people are born. But, you know, I've had young people say to me, I don't like poetry, but I'm really into Blur. Well, Blur are influenced by poetry, you know. So poetry is everywhere. And in fact, I have a theory that everybody, every day, has unique individual poetic thoughts. They think of lines that will never be constructed again like that in the whole history of mankind. All we poets are doing is just remembering them and writing them down. You know, I'm sure somebody this morning looked at grass and went, why is grass green? What would happen if it was red? And then they went, oh, I've got to get to university. And then they just carried on. But somebody like me would go, what would happen if grass was red? And then I write a poem about it. That's all we're doing. We're just capturing the moment and writing it down. So I believe that we all have poetic thoughts and therefore we are all poets. You know, I think multiculturalism is like the most important thing in the world. For a start, if you understand another people, you're less likely to go and bomb them. You know, I watch television now and I see streets in Gaza, in various places around the world, bombed, and I know those streets. I know that if I had my finger on the trigger, if I had anything at all to do with it, you know, I wouldn't do it. I'd go over there and I'd talk and talk until we found peace. It is really important. Because of Doreen's life, you know, let's break it down here. By her own admission, she was, you know, a normal housewife. Her son was murdered. She said she wants to do something about it. She rose the awareness of the people of this country. And she's carried on doing it in many ways, not just for herself, but the awareness of racism generally. She set up a trust to help young people. And now she's kind of been elevated to various positions around the country. And I think her kind of being Chancellor of the university is really important, again, for the reason to show people that Chancellors of universities are not all the same. They're not all white men in grey suits with a kind of privileged background. Doreen Lawrence is what we call in the streets a roots woman, you know, and that's it. And it's really, really important because sometimes some people will be suffering racism, they'll be suffering because of all other kinds of discrimination, and they will believe, as a matter of fact, they will believe that they will never get anywhere in the world. And you know, in Britain, one of the biggest killers of young people is suicide. It's a lack of self-esteem. They don't see any hope. And they think, I'm going to end it. When you see people that have suffered and triumphed over adversity, that are kind of, I don't like to use the term role models, but you know, you can be inspired by them. You can, you know, that can save lives, literally.